Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Conservative Leaders Forum by SD 17. I'd like to call on Jim Strickland to come forward at this time and to give the opening prayer and blessing of our food.
If you can, please stand. And I see we don't have any cowboys here to take their hats off. That's okay. If you will pray with me, please. Lord God, we thank you for this food that we're about to eat. We thank you for those who have a heart for you, who are in Senate District 17. We thank you so much for Gale and his determination to do things correctly, on time, efficiently, and to the best of his ability, helping us to do things to the best of our ability. We thank you, Lord, that you have brought us here this evening to recognize all of those abilities and to give us an edge on continuing forward to make this country, this county, this state exactly what it needs to be to honor you. We ask that the blessing for this food, the blessing for the people here, the blessing for all that we are about to do in the coming years, we ask your help in doing so through Jesus, my Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Would you join me with the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our Texas pledge? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Please be seated. Kind of a short agenda, but we're going to have some fun at the end. Okay. At this time, I'd like to go around the room, and I call this a one-breath introduction. Okay, so you just say your name and your precinct, and I'm going to ask Dan Kay to start us out.
That's easy enough. James Clayton, precinct 362.
This is my wife, Elvia.
Buffy Ingersoll, precinct 262.
Cindy Siegel, chairman in 919.
Hilda Clyde, 178.
David Vanderfield, precinct 510.
Stuart Baker, precinct 1102.
You gotta do a selfie.
Gotta do a selfie, right? Yeah. So let's see here. If I can slowly do this.
Who's next?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back and
Catch him as it goes. Charles?
Here we go.
Harry, go ahead.
Harry Brown, Senate District 17.
Chester Roundtree, 310.
Joanna McCracken, 730. Karen Brown, District 17.
Jeb Strickland. I used to be in 625. I guess I still am, just not the chair anymore.
Bob Sumacek, precinct, what is that, 1087.
Neil Cheatham, 547 is my wife's share.
Eric Grisborough for 0751, and this is my wife Dave.
Roland Klein, 437, my wife Lynn.
Nancy Scott, precinct 461.
He needs no introduction.
$9.99.
Sheila Bernhardt, 395.
Nick DeMayo, 444.
Lori Celestino, 522. Layla Spartus, 510.
George Sargent, 510.
Okay, that got everyone? Very good. Now I'd like to introduce to you Bob Simchek. If I were to recite all the titles that Bob had over the years, he was a former SD17 chair, and I spent the last 4 years or so working with the Ballot Security Committee. Our function was election integrity, but there's another part to the election integrity, and that's the folks that are making sure that all the information is correct. And Bob's going to talk with you this evening about that. Bob Simchek. So, you sit on the right.
Thank y'all for coming tonight, and I appreciate that. I've been busy all day.
Bob, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I walk around a lot.
I know.
I'm a
You
teacher.
can't tonight.
So, we had somebody else just come in the door. Mention who you are.
Bill Fortune.
There you go.
Precinct.
So we had a recount today of one of the candidates who felt that they may not have been counted properly. And if I heard correctly, that was spot on everything that we do in election integrity. So, what does election integrity mean to you? What does that mean to you? Election integrity, what does it mean?
Right people vote.
What does it mean to you?
Means one person, one vote, and a fair election done correctly.
Very good. If you said every qualified voter should count, you were correct. But were the elections of 2020 and 22 that fair?
No.
How many say they were fair? Raise your hand. Why isn't anybody raising their hand? So, the Heritage Foundation election fraud database said there were 1,500 proven incidences of voter fraud in the state of Texas. And that's the different things. They had 1,200 convictions, and there were a lot of things that went wrong. The Texas Tribune said results in Harris County clearly had multiple failures conducting their elections and violated most of the laws. You know, who would think that one? And because we had, why were they felt they didn't have to abide by the laws. Do you know why? We had an EA, an election administrator that didn't work for us. The problems we had were, as we see up here, election sites ran out of paper. That was one of the biggest things. And it was interesting because I asked afterwards, some of the election sites, like Howard Barker, way up almost to Waller, he had like 2,000 ballots. And I asked Howard, I said, well, how many do you normally vote? 600. And I ran around some of the other ones that had huge amounts of ballots, but they didn't vote that many. And then we had several of them that ran out of ballots at noontime. Manipulation. We had a lot of the duos. In other words, those are the things that you vote on that were not functioning properly. We had poorly trained people everywhere. It was judges that weren't trained correctly. We had people answering the phone that weren't trained properly. We had people on the phone for well over an hour and a half waiting to get to talk to somebody. Some of the voting sites, as it says here, were changed at the last minute, and nothing came out that it was changed. Not even a note on the door. And then we had the 10,000 ballots in question that seemed to have mysteriously appeared, disappeared, or whatever. So those are all some of the problems. And how do we stop it? Well, the obvious answer was better training. We really need better training for everybody. We need better laws to allow prosecution by our state attorney general. How many would like that? Okay, I think most everybody. You didn't raise your hand. And more poll watchers, properly trained poll watchers to know what to look for and how do they report things. So the 2023 elections, when I came in, Cindy asked me to go and be involved in the central count. I said, well, that sounds interesting. What is that? He said, well, you get to monitor all the counting down at where all the voting machines come in and everything. So I said, fine. So I went down there. Wow, was I amazed. So under our elected clerk, we have voting integrity, and she is responsible. And I've liked everything that she has done from day one. All the different people that she has brought back that were really, really good. They did a Q&A process on all the controllers and the duos. That was a big problem. A lot of them were down, and you had like 10 machines that weren't working because the controller was down. They fixed that. And we had better training offered by the county, plus our own party strengthened some of that training with additional. But who watches the voting stations to ensure qualified voters are allowed? That's a big question. That's a big question. The other question is, aren't these voting stations also connected to the internet to allow interference and fraud? Who thinks that happens? Come on, raise your hands high. All right, we're going to talk about that tonight. First question, better trained PJs and AJs and clerks is paramount. We have to have that. It makes them more comfortable, and voters appreciate that when they come in and they can go right through the line, do their voting, and people know what they're doing. And we need more poll watchers, which I think we're trying. The second question, the only thing that is connected outside of that voting center is that iPad when you first come in. That's the only thing. So, here's what we're looking at. Here's the iPad right here. This got a pointer on it.
Number 1.
It's got right here at number 1. Well, actually number 2. It's right there at number 2. That's the only thing connected to the internet. And why is that connected? Because we got to be able to verify they're a voter, and we got to make sure that they're listed, that they're voting, and they don't get to run across the street at another location and vote again, and again, and again. All these other things are connected to the controller. The controller is static right there. Oh, I'm sorry, there is one thing that is connected. The scanner is connected to the wall for electricity, but it's not connected to anything else. Those are the only things, and they are not connected. And so I've heard conspiracy theories that say, well, if it's got a processor, we can interfere with it, and we can. Hey, look, I was in the Navy. I know a little bit about computers, and I know what it takes to try to interfere with a processor or anybody to read that computer and anything else. You would have to have so much of an electronic impulse. It would take out all the cell phones in the county. It would take out all the other things that rely on computers. So that can't happen. Under the county clerk, voters should have a better confidence in the process. And okay, so I'm going to go through what I learned, what that process is that they have. All right, we start over here. The iPad check-in, the voter checks in. This is the only connection to the internet, right? The next process. What's the next process? Somebody tell me. Can you read the slide?
Ballot style.
The controller clerk scans for the ballot style. Anybody know what the ballot style is? What's a ballot style? You've been a judge. That's your vote. That's what that's your precinct. That's who you vote for. Next, the controller clerk issues the 5-digit number, right? Is that important? Yeah, because that allows you to check in on the duo to cast your ballot. And it knows that, and it registers that you, with that number, registered to vote. Then, after the voter reviews the ballot, make sure they're all right. If there's a problem, then you raise your hand and you tell the judge, hey, this isn't right, I didn't vote for that person. Well, you did. Then it prints out that paper ballot. Now, then the voter walks over, puts it in a black box, which is what? The scanner. And the scanner goes and drops the ballot in there. The scanner only reads the vote and records that on a thumb drive. Now that scanner having the thumb drive is very, very important, as you're going to see. The controller also has 2 thumb drives in it. They record the votes and as they're going through. All right, 7 o'clock comes and all hell breaks loose, doesn't it? Everybody's trying to get everything collected together and all the paperwork shuffled around and everything else to close everything. Then you need to rush it over to the drop-off. And we have regional drop-offs. I think we had 4 for this last runoff, and they ran fairly well. And if you notice, they had multiple areas to bring your car up. It wasn't like when we had over at NRG, where we had half a mile car line and everybody sucking up gas fumes in the car in front of you, and you could get everything done. So then you drop it off, it does very good. All right? The drop-off verifies all the chain of custody. We follow a very good chain of custody. They've thought about this so that if there's any breaks in it, we can go back and identify the judge or find out what happened and why there is not the chain of custody verified. Next, all the equipment is transferred from those sites. You got big trucks, they bring it down to central count. And they're just bringing them in left and right, left and right. There, under supervision, they remove those thumb drives. Okay? All the drives are processed and verified under the scrutiny of both parties. And tell you what, they really do scrutinize that. This process that all has security tags and chains of custody that have to be signed off. You had to sign off chain of custody today when they opened the boxes for the vote, Cindy? Yeah. So I sign off on a lot of them as they open them up and put them around. All right. If you remember, if you were a PJ, you ran a tally sheet on the controller, right? And you got one for the PJ, one for the AJ, and you left one on the machine. So, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop for a minute while they hurry up and deliver all this so we're not interfered with. plate was that?
Are the paper ballots ever verified and checked against the electronic ballot?
Actually, yes, and that's what we did today. We were looking at the paper ballots to verify the accuracy of the count for somebody that challenged the vote.
Okay, and also, the computer program that controls all this, who verifies that program has not been violated?
Say again?
The programs that run all these,
Yes.
duos go into that, who verifies that the programs have not been corrupted?
Central Count Team does. And what we do is, first of all, before all the machines are sent out, we test the program of the ballot. So we actually go and put things in the ballot to test to make sure that spits out the same votes that go in. So they got a bunch of people and they're actually putting in votes just to test the program. Okay? Mickey Mouse gets voted in, Donald Duck gets voted in, they all get voted in, and they test it out. Now, the other thing is, before they're sent out, all the controllers are zeroed. They're zeroed out, so there's nothing on there ahead of time. All right? Now, as I said, that scanned piece of paper is important because that's one piece of evidence of the accuracy of the ballot that's been voted on. If you ever looked at it, it has the total count of that center on what was voted on those machines. All right? Also, the black box has the thumb drive that we checked. All right? And here's how that goes. So, voting centers take everything to regional centers, and everything goes to central count. The big difference at central count is, and I have to say this, is that central count has around 50 workers every time there's an election. And they also have party members from both parties. All right? And we're looking at that. They work very long hours. We get there, we have to be there, say 8 o'clock on voting day. We're going through some of the things from the mail-in ballots and everything, and the ballots from early voting. We're already going through those and verifying. We have to wait on the day's ballots, and we have to wait till all the machines are turned in. We can't start that day until all the machines are turned in. We can do, yeah, I mean, that's just how the system is. All the equipment, ballot bags, squirrel ballots, provisional ballots, cancel ballots, and documentation have to be turned in. And did you know, fact, there are some PJs who do not abide by the state regulations about turning in everything as soon as possible. So we had one of the elections just came out, election before, they've been monthly lately, and so it's 2 months ago, and we had a person bring in their stuff at 1:30 in the morning. Everybody else had turned theirs in by 11. So we've got 50 people waiting on all that. Think about how much money that costs, waiting for that person who probably decided to get something to eat or maybe celebrate with somebody. Oh, that doesn't happen, does it? Yes, it does. We know it does. And while this is a blatant infraction, so during the November election, we did not get home until 8:30 the next morning. And we had been there at 8 o'clock the previous day. So we were there over 24 hours. Try that when you're up in age. It ain't fun. So if the PJ has a problem, turn in past midnight, you need to tell them all they need to call and say what the problem is. I started calling everybody after November. who turned in after midnight. There was only one PJ that had a valid, somewhat valid excuse. He had everything all ready by 11 o'clock. He's calling and calling to get the building locked up because it was an elementary school and he did not want to leave it open. I told him later, I said, did you think maybe perhaps you could have called the this is HISD Police Department? They would have come locked it up for you. Oh man, I didn't know that. So anyhow. Isn't there some way to manipulate how the tally is completed and what is counted? Okay. Over here in the control room, you guys don't get to see inside that because there's a lock on it in there, and they have to clip. They don't have a key for it first. They have to clip that lock off. So if anybody violated that unit, you could tell right away because the lock had been clipped off. Then we go back and start doing an investigation on why that was clipped off. Inside there are 2 thumb drives. The T drive and the V drive. The T drive at the first turn-in session is actually taken out and put in a computer and transmitted back to central count so they have a preliminary vote. And also it helps to ensure that if something happens somewhere along the line, they at least have 1 vote of that center, of that voting location. Everything's turned in, and I can't tell you how much it is verified. So we have the paper is verified against the thumb drives, against the paper ballots. So we have 3 different avenues of votes that have to balance. So we had this last election, it was just the runoff. We had an extra vote. 1 extra vote. That was unsatisfactory because the counts didn't work up. So we went through, we opened up these tubs that have all these paper ballots. We looked and found out what center had that extra ballot. So then we found out the PJ actually did his job and wrote down on his paperwork that it was the paper ballot, when it went through the duo the first time, it didn't register the vote. But the machine registered the vote. So the judge did the right thing. He annotated it on the documentation and then resubmitted that ballot on that duo. So it took us probably 30, 35 minutes to go through and try to find out what happened to 1 vote. 1 vote. When I saw that, I said, this is great because these people are really looking at making sure everything is accurate. And everything starts at the top. Oh, the big question at San Antonio. What's wrong with this question? Who can answer that? What's that, Roman? Oh, what's wrong?
That it would take forever.
So in November, yes, it would take forever. So in November, I mean, we had maybe 1,800 votes we counted today, and we were at it maybe 3.5, 4 hours.
Actually, it's about 3,500.
3,500. So it'd take us about, what, 4 hours maybe?
No, longer.
Well, we were there, but actually counting. So you can imagine a city or county this size trying to count that. We would not get finished before Christmas time on a November election. Just impossible. Now, we do have paper ballots, and we can scan them in there. And to have only paper ballots would open up a real can of worms. I've been on one of these things where we have those, and the accuracy of tabulation, visual exhaustion, and discrepancies in voter intent is huge. For a large county, a complete and verified count could take well over a month. Oh, but Wait a minute. All of France, they do paper ballots. Who's heard that one? Anybody heard that? Yeah. Got a question? Jeff, how many people are on that ballot?
How much, 6?
Yes. They only have 6 people on the ballot, and they got great big large squares that they can scribble into, and so when it's scanned, there's no doubt.
That's for the whole nation.
That's for the whole nation, yeah. So their ballot is nothing like our ballots. So that's completely impossible. All right. The real problem that I see it, and this is just my feeling, are the mail-in ballots. It's really difficult. We can verify signatures and things like that when we get to them at the ballot board. But who helps them do the ballot? I don't know. Could be anybody. So that's a problem. And one thing that we got to start thinking about, we got more and more people that are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's that are getting ballots. We've got to think of a way that we can ensure that. And my thought is that just like we have voting centers, if we got nursing homes and things like that, we go there with a Democrat and a Republican, and they monitor those people getting their packets and voting and returning them. That's my solution. Now, whether or not the Austin believes in that or anybody else, that's just my thought. You need to feel confident that Tanisha Hudsmith is doing a very good job. I like what she's doing. She's confident. She was trained by Stan Stenner, and it's really good. So, my final word to you is, now get everybody to vote. And you hear somebody say, yeah, but my vote probably won't count. It does count in Harris County. Any questions? Wow, it was that good?
Let's give Don a big hand. So before we turn it over to the social hour, I want to thank each and every one of you for attending the SD17 forum. And before I leave, I was elected as chairperson for the National Stone Association. That's not diamonds, that's sand, that's gravel, that's limestone, all the road building materials. In the United States, the organization controlled 90% of all the road building materials in the country. Had a great stone pack, which was their political action committee. I used to hand out checks to the congressmen and the U.S. senators and so on. They did a lot of good in that area. So they had a ritual when the person was elected as the new chair, and some people call it a roasting, but anyway, it was maybe making fun of the individual that just taken the chair. And without their knowing it, I had slipped in, back behind me, a mat. And I had a plant, that's a person, a plant in the audience. And what I did, well, maybe I can demonstrate it better. James, would you come up there?
You see it? Looks like a flower.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll bring you right back here behind me. There you go. Now, do was I would point to the individual that was going to be doing the roasting, and I would demonstrate a judo technique on that person. Now, I'll show you kind of an example here. James is grabbing me from behind, like this. I take my heel, run it down his shin. That loosens him up a little bit. Then I take my head and I bang it right into his nose. So now he has got a bloody nose there. And I take this fist and I move my hips a little bit to the side here, and I bring it down. Well, you know where that is. And then I reach behind him and I grab him and I actually pick him up and throw him.
Yeah.
Then I point to the next guy and do a different technique. Thank you for being up. Let's give him a good hand.
I was really concerned there. I just want to let you know. I was worried. We had a discussion. I actually thought I was going to be thrown down, so it actually worked out pretty good.
Okay, so this is a demonstration by a friend of mine. Let's go over here. Interesting. How to get it from here to there.
We thought how to do a laptop on our big screen.
A laptop has it.
So, well, our tractor's up there.
I don't know how to do this way.
How to do it from here. If I can hold this up for you guys, you can see. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over to these two gentlemen, James Clayton, Deb Smith. Come on up, folks.
No, yeah, Jeb's going to kick us off.
Okay.
He's got a few things he wants to share, and then I will close this out.
First of all, thank you all for coming. This is the last hoorah for Gail. A lot of you are just now meeting Gail for the first time. There's a few things that he has done over his life that I want to acknowledge and I want to thank him for. Gail has helped us all with getting a widespread tweet or other text messaging out to the entire precinct. Taught us all how to do that. That's not how he started. He started out when he was born, and I haven't verified this, but it's a good story. He did tell me that when he was born, he was raised on a ranch. He used to ride a horse to school. It was a one-room schoolroom that from the first grade to the 8th grade, they all crowded in this one schoolroom. And this was in upper Nebraska. And so the horse and he had to ride through the snow, uphill, both ways,
10 miles.
or something like that. He got to have some high tech in the classroom when he reached 8th grade. Their high tech consisted of it wasn't a spirograph, it was an etch or sketch. Is that was their high tech, and from that, he's graduated to the point where he can help people, except old people like me, to do the texting that needs to be done to each of the precincts to help us win. We are here tonight because of the recent wins that we had with Kyle Scott and with Erica McCrutcheon. Kyle enjoyed a 57% of the vote victory, and Erica got 61%. So that's the sort of thing we need to do in November. He has given us the basic skills, he's given us the tools, he's given us pretty much most of the precinct chairs who can handle all this. We don't have it quite all filled in yet, but hopefully before November we'll have the whole SD filled in with precinct chairs that are raring to go. We also are celebrating for another reason. I got all excited when two weekends ago the Democrats held their Texas convention and they couldn't get enough people there to even have a quorum. So without a quorum, they could not propose or even pass who was going to be their presidential candidate. So instead of Biden, they had no preference. That to me is worth celebrating.
They had it in El Paso.
Well, it was in El Paso, but they chose El Paso right now. So we got them on the run. We've got to stick to our guns. We've got to make things happen. Let me quickly run through a list of the things that Gail has done through his life. In entrepreneurship, he's had offices in Houston, Dallas, Austin with 17 employees, and they have done work with Fortune 500 companies like Holder Bank, Temple Inland, AmeriGas, Boeing, and several others. And not just in the U.S., this is also in Canada and Europe, South Africa, South America. That's just entrepreneurship. In real estate, he has owned 31 properties, including raw land, a shopping center, and in the shopping center was Culberson's office when he was still, John Culberson, when he still was in office. He's been a wellness coach with a degree in health sciences, direct marketing. He's had 2,000 associates around the world that he's been in charge of. Networking, this one blows my mind. 17 and a half years as the education director. Let me get closer. 17 and a half years as the education director for Houston Western region, 42 chapters, 1,234 members. And this is called BNI, the largest referral network organization in the world with 317,000 members. They generated $23 billion in business. Okay, now that's just a network. We get into politics, and I could be here all night. But one of the most famous things that he helped do was to get Alan Vera. He served on the Ballot Security Committee, and for that, we need to be thanking him totally. He demonstrated already, but what you don't know is he can still do it because he was top black belt in a five-state area. He coached a number of champions. He was also one of the officers in the Olympics in Tokyo in 1964. He was one of the judges. There's three more here, but I'm over on time. We're going to miss him. He's going to be hard to replace, but I'm sure you all are going to help James to get done what needs to be done. It's a team effort. We all need to pitch in. James is still here.
Hiding in the corner.
He hearing all of what he shoes he has to fill, it must be hard. But we need to let him escape here soon because he is, what is it, 2:30 in the morning? He's going to be on an airplane going.
Well, we're late for the airport.
You leave for the airport to go on vacation with his wife. When he comes back, it'll be raring to go. So
That'll only be the last one for a while.
you guys keep him busy. And thank you so much, Gail, for all that you have done.
So that was actually very fantastic to hear about all the things that Gail's done. As we all know, Gail is a fantastic guy and wonderful to work with. Now, I got to share this. So before we had this, just a couple minutes ago, the judo move we worked out on the outside. So Gail, when I showed up, he said, "James, we're doing a judo move." I had no idea. I actually thought I was going to be thrown. I was really scared. So, but in that, during that discussion, I don't know if you paid attention when he was talking. He said that he did that during a previous roast when he was roasting. So, Gail showed up thinking he was going to be roasted. Now, I didn't prepare any remarks to roast him. I got some things I could probably throw out there. I will put it out to the group. Is there anybody in here? I mean, we all know Gail's wonderful. Has he ever done anything off the roller? I mean, is he all perfect? Nancy, I mean, what do we got here? Oh, we got Nancy.
I don't talk very loud, so please listen. I've known Gail for at least 17 years. I think maybe a little longer. And we know all of his wonderful accomplishments, how organized he is, how reliable he is in training. But there's a little bit of different side of Gail that I saw. He clerked for a number of years for me in precinct 461. And sometimes we had very slow elections. And Gail is very good at working crossword puzzles and Rummikub. Do not play Rummikub with this man. I thought I was good. I thought I could beat everybody. And he would at the last minute come through and beat me every single time. But he knows how to have fun as well as working. So I just want to share with y'all that this man that I really come to love and admire has a fun side as well.
And any other takers? Now, Gail's ready. Oh, you got something?
David, I saw you asking one of the speakers to speak a little louder. Can everyone hear my voice okay?
Yeah.
Gail, can you hear my voice okay? Well, I already knew you could because you got the biggest ears in the room.
They keep growing.
And, it's no wonder you got the biggest ears in the room because all you eat is rabbit food. But that's okay. At least you don't have the biggest nose in the room. That honor goes to Bob Sumacek. In fact, I was kind of picking at my food and I thought, nothing against the chefs in the kitchen or anything, but I was just, trying to dig around and find something in that food I could eat. But I decided this food is so bad that I would rather listen to Bob Sumacek give a presentation than eat this food. So you asked us, do we know what ballot style is? And we were all discussing, trying to figure out, make sure we knew the answer to what ballot style is. And I thought maybe ballot style was just, the font and the color and the decorations around the edge of the page. But, I don't know, you got a carnation on there. I think when you go to vote, ballot style might be the only style you have. But I think it was James when you came up earlier and you said, well, Gail is expecting a roast. Well, I'm a meat eater. I was expecting roast. I'd like to have some roast. I'm sorry, Gail, that's all I got.
That was a roast.
They're always have something.
Here's the boss.
Yeah. Well, it's great to be here. I'm not funny. But, you know, first, let me tell you, this ST17, this is my home base. You guys were my SD for many years until Joan Huffman decided to kick Bel Air and Westview and Southside Place to her. But I love being back here. I've decided, you know, Bob Sumacek, for those who don't know, is our Sergeant of Arms, but after this demonstration, I'm firing you. I'm hiring you. Sergeant of Arms. Sorry. You know, we have, I'm a mom of two daughters who are in their, well, now one just turned 30 and 27. But when they were growing up, it was like I wanted to be, and I always tease them about it. Am I the cool mom? They would like roll their eyes and go, no, I'm not. But it's sort of the same thing. We've got young people working at the office. We have some older people like myself, but we have young people. And Sam, I think all of you know Sam, he's our contractor, came to me and he said, Gail's asked me to go to this organization, this lunch, what do you think? I go, free lunch, go. So he went and he came back and he was like, Gail is so cool and it was such a great event. So then everyone else, all the other young kids, I'm no longer the cool boss. They all want to go hang out with me. But truthfully, I've learned a lot from this man. You guys have been blessed to have his leadership for the last 2 years. I've been blessed to have him on our advisory board as one of the leaders in the party. You know, he raised the bar. He raised the bar for every SC chair. He brought enthusiasm, energy to the job, and that's a good thing for the party. I mean, I'll even go so far as to say, you know, we do our weekly precinct chair newsletter. We put stuff on the calendar, and I would just go, when you're running out of time, it's like, just check Gail's newsletter. He knows everything that's going on. You'll know the right things and stuff. But I've been very honored to serve with you. You've done a phenomenal job, and I'm honored and to call you a
We got it.
All right. What's that? Well, I want to give everybody a chance here. Anybody else? George? You don't want to? George, we were just properly. He had something to say, but I guess you good? All right. I will kind of close it out. I'll tell one little story. Mine's not going to be all that funny, but it is. It's an interesting. Some people in here actually experience this. So, as you know, Gail is, nose to the grind. It is all business. He does not stop ever, right? So, for those of you who know, this is our monthly ST17 meeting, our conservative forum. We had a meeting last month, right? Some of us were there. Many of you may not have attended because on the night of that, y'all remember last month when we had that bad storm and tornadoes? Gail didn't cancel the meeting. And it's funny because I was leaving the house that afternoon, my wife said, James, it's going to be bad. And I was like, well, Gail didn't cancel it. I guess I'm still supposed to show up. So there may have been 5 or 6 of us that showed up to me, 10, 8, 9, not that many. But as we got there, it was over at Training Mendenhall. So we get to Training Mendenhall, and it was starting to get dark outside, and I think at around 6 o'clock, the meeting was going to start at 6:30. It started getting pitch black outside, the power went out. Storm is outside, rain is hitting, everybody's looking at the glass, looking outside. Gail's looking at his watch. With no power on, he says, it's time to start the meeting. No lie. SD17 without Gail being an active participant in it. It's kind of a weird thought, a strange thought. But it's kind of where we are. Strangely, it's where we are. You know, the story that was told about Gail and his growing up and his father, I don't know if you've heard all that from Jeb, but you know, there were ranchers up in the Northwest. He rode a horse to school and had an outhouse, you know, no indoor plumbing in your house and all that. So when I think about my own life, my own grandfather raised kids during the Depression, my mom and her siblings, and I started heard stories of that. So I think about his dad and my grandpa. I think Gail's cut from that same cloth in my mind. You know, he's going to get it done. He's going to work hard. We are very blessed to have had him all these years working for us, and I'm very appreciative of it. For me, I'm kind of a rookie. I don't know all the years that Gail has turned in. So I've only been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, and as I think about it, you know, what I see across, I'm very encouraged with the recent election. I think we're in a really good spot. I think we're doing some great things. Getting Erica elected shows that our engagement does make a difference and can make a big difference, and I'm hopeful for November. We'll see how that works out. I'm very, very hopeful. But as I look around, I mean, there are things that have bothered me over the last couple of years. Apathy is always kind of a problem for those of us that do walking, trying to get people involved. Internal infighting, you know, we do a little bit of that. We do that at the convention. We do that all over the place. I think that's problematic. And then just getting people to work, you know, to get out there and roll up your sleeves and work. So those are 3 things that are kind of bothering me about politics and getting engaged in politics. And the reason I bring this up is because Gail is the antithesis of all those things, right? He's not apathetic. He has been engaged. He's always energetic. He's always got ideas. He's always, if there's a meeting, he's going to show up. No matter if anybody else shows up, he's going to be there. So he always does that. He's a uniter. So he's always worked on uniting people. So he's not the infighting. He doesn't live for that. So it's all about building consensus and getting others involved, which is a blessing. And then as far as rolling up your sleeves, I mean, my gosh, the guy doesn't stop. He's hard to keep up. I don't know if I can keep up with this guy. So as we look to the fall, I think all of us are going to need to pitch in more. So let's see. I mean, like I said, I'm hopeful for the fall. I think we can do it. With Gail on the sidelines, we're going to all have to do a little bit extra, but let's see how it works. I hope that it does happen. Yes, sir.
So, last week you called me and you pondered a question with me. Do you remember that?
That's been a week ago.
About being the SD chair.
Yes, yeah, that's possible.
What was my answer to you?
I think you said that you would support me. I saw it.
That wasn't the full answer.
Oh,
He asked me if I was going to support him, and I said, well, Gail and I have been training you for this job. That train has already left the train station. You're on it. And it's not going to stop.
So to that point, yes, I've been Gail's vice chair all this time, and whatever he's asked me to do, I've been there. I've given his suggestions. I'm going to be nominated on Saturday. I'm not going to be there. I had 2 choices. I could attend the convention. I just have to get a divorce, and I choose not to get a divorce. We booked an Alaskan cruise about 6 months ago, and we're really looking forward to it. So I won't be there. We'll be nominated. I appreciate your support. The way I look at it is I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and do the best that I can. If it doesn't happen, it wouldn't have to be. It's okay. I'm just here to help in any way that I can. So
James, you
yes.
have a personal life.
I do. I got a personal life.
Yes,
Yeah.
That'll change.
But we're the target. So,
James,
yes, ma'am.
going to Alaska, let me just tell you right now, they have, this time of year, they have the largest mosquitoes in any state.
I'm still going.
They'll
Still going. Yeah, we're doing whale watching. We're going to there Saturday, but, got something else going that I have to do. Yes, sir.
In regards to the election in the fall, we're not a swing state, but you gotta remember this, Chuck Schumer has his eye in Texas. And we gotta watch him. Listen, and we're in Harris County. Listen, this guy that plays with fire. He's gonna come here with all guns blasted. Chuck Schumer, remember that name.
Well, at the end of the day, today's not about me, it's about Gail. And I do want to thank Gail for his friendship, thank him for his leadership. And I think you need to enjoy some time. So I want to do this. Thank you so much.
As long as we're getting gifts out, because he's going to go probably on an extended, you're not going to Alaska with him, are you? We spared no expense. We got you a set, we got you a set of matched luggage.
One last thing, we do have a cake up here, so the meal was great. By the way, I disagree with Nate. I just want to say that. I disagree. I never in a million years would have ordered that, but it was really good.
Yes, it was.
No, I thought it was good. I'm more of a steak kind of guy, but we have a cake up here. So when you guys are ready, you can come up here and get a piece of cake.
Wait a minute, there wasn't a steak we had on the plate? What was that?
It's all here for you guys.
It's a vegetarian cake.
It is not a vegetarian cake.
Bacon.
What?
What?